The Eagles go into Thursday's game versus the Vikings with 4 starters out, but I simply see it this way. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and after this game, the Eagles are going to be a lot stronger. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here, and hope everyone's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Be hanging in there. So we are 1 day away from the Eagles Vikings in a huge game for the Eagles, and if they can get to 2-0, it would be a huge accomplishment. With 4 starters out, you know the saying: what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And if this team comes out with a W tomorrow with that many guys injured, it would be a huge accomplishment and a time for the Eagles to then go and get healthy. Now, before we get into all of it, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most censored, the most throttled, pause, Eagles content creator in all of the internet. If you've been subscribed for a while, I just want to thank you so much for all the support you give to me. It truly means a lot. And this is a quick reminder for those that don't know. I will be streaming the Eagles Vikings game tomorrow, so come hang out with me. Should be a lot of fun. We'll have the Eagles Vikings game. Then we'll have the Philly Shakedown post game, and then hopefully late at night I'll be smoking a stogie with a nice little win, nice victory celebration. That's what we want, and that is the goal. But for that to happen, the Eagles are going to have to come out and beat the Vikings. And I don't think this is an easy game. I think this is going to be a very tough game. You're on a short week, and you now have 4 starters out, okay? So here is the injury report for the Eagles today. All right, so we got safety Reed Blankenship, ribs, he's out. Cornerback James Bradbury, concussion, out. Kenneth Gainwell, ribs, out. And then defensive tackle Fletcher Cox, ribs, limited practice. He's questionable. It sounds like there's a chance that he's going to go, and we're going to need him. Believe me, we are definitely going to need him. And as far as the Vikings go, they're going to be without their center Garrett Bradbury, and the Eagles are going to have to take advantage of a weak interior line with the Minnesota Vikings. I expect this to be a big matchup. I mean, they were talking to Justin Jefferson. He said, the Vikings, they want revenge for that week 2 loss that they took last year. If you remember, in that game, he got totally shut down. Darius Slay shut him down. Here's what Slay did against him last season. This is courtesy of Jacob Sports. Shout out to them. So 18 cover snaps, 6 targets, 2 interceptions, 1 catch he allowed for 7 yards, and that was it. That was it. Slay shut him down. And when I look at this team that the Eagles are going to play, the Vikings, all right, there's a few things. One, I'm very scared of their passing offense. Their passing offense definitely worries me. Even though Kirk Cousins, he had like 2 or 3 turnovers last week, and you should be able to get to him and hit him. He's got a lot of weapons. Justin Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson. They are going to be able to move the ball through the air. And the way that they're going to attack the Philadelphia Eagles, I think we all know, is over the middle. So are they going to put Justin Jefferson in the slot at times? Hawkinson, I expect him to have somewhat of a big game, and the Eagles are going to have to do something about it. Now remember, you're without Nakobe Dean. He was a guy I didn't mention on that injury report. He would be your 4th starter. That's out. So you don't have Nakobe Dean, and you don't have Blankenship, which means Sidney Brown or Terrell Edmonds are going to get the start. I would go with Sidney Brown. Just let's get this rookie out there. Let's get him playing, and let's just make the switch right now. But if you're the Vikings, you're going to want to attack the middle of the field for the Eagles. And I expect them to do that. I expect Hawkinson to get a lot of targets this week. And if it's me and I'm the Eagles, the way I want to go up against the Vikings is I want to get Slay. And I don't know that they'll do this, but I would get Slay, and I would let him shadow Justin Jefferson all over the place, especially with Job having to start. And I would just let him follow him around. That's how I would handle it. How they're going to deal with Hawkinson is a whole nother issue, because that's the one issue that really worries me. And I think this defensive line for the Eagles is going to have to come up and have a big game. Now, you have a weakened interior again. This is the second week in a row you're playing a team that doesn't have all their interior pieces on the offensive line. Our defensive tackles, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. I think the defensive line's got to have a big game. You've got to get pressure on Kirk Cousins. I mean, I know that's a simple thing to say, but I think it's really true, especially with the weakened middle that the Eagles have. They've got to get pressure on Kirk Cousins. And the one great thing about Kirk Cousins on Thursday Night Football is Kirk Cousins never comes up big in these primetime games. He has a horrible record on primetime. That said, I think they'll be able to move the ball through the air, or at least that's what they're going to try to do. They only ran for 3.1 yards per carry last week. I'm not really concerned with the Vikings run game. I wouldn't be surprised to see them abandon it after the first quarter anyways. So when I look at the Eagles and I look at the Vikings, I think the Eagles, they're going to have to watch Hockenson, obviously, Addison, and Jefferson. They got some pieces on offense that, in the passing game, that if you're not getting to Kirk Cousins and if you're giving him time, they're going to be able to move the ball down the field. So the Eagles have to get pressure. I like to see them a little more man coverage. I would like to see pressing up against them receivers, and I would like to see some blitzes come at Kirk Cousins. Got to get to him. We need this defensive line to really take over. Now, when I look at the Eagles' offense versus the Vikings' defense, I think there's plenty of room for the Eagles to get back on track. They are not going up against the defensive line like they did last week. Last week versus the Patriots. Patriots defensive line way more formidable than the Vikings. I think the Vikings only had 1 sack last week, and I expect the Eagles and that offensive line to give Jalen Hurts a lot of time, which means I can see the Eagles being able to move the ball down the field, and I don't think it'll be a problem. Vikings did do a good job against the run last week, and I still think that they didn't go up against the offensive line like the Eagles. So I expect the Eagles offensive line, who I did not think played great versus the Patriots, okay? I expect them to have a rebound game. I expect them to be able to protect Jalen Hurts. And I think the offense and the passing game gets going again. And I think the Eagles will be able just as easily to move the ball on the Vikings through the air as the Vikings may move it through the middle of the field against the Eagles. The Eagles offensive line is key. And here's the other thing. With no Kenneth Gainwell, DeAndre Swift has the opening. He has the opening that I talked about yesterday. It's time to unleash DeAndre Swift. I believe he's the best running back on this team. I do. And I believe that maybe the blessing in disguise with Gainwell being out is that the Eagles will actually have to look to him and actually have to utilize him, and they'll actually see that they got a player that needs to be your starter at running back. That's how I feel about it. So I expect DeAndre Swift to have a breakout game. DeAndre Swift, even Penny, who's going to get a chance. This is a great opportunity for them, one of those two guys, to really take over at running back. And listen, I like Gainwell. I see him more as a rotational guy. Gainwell averaged 3.9 yards a carry last week. I think DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny have an opportunity to really take the running back spot with a good game. So I expect this game to be very offensive. I do. I think you're going to have a higher scoring game, and I think both teams will be able to move the ball. But the question is whose line on both sides of the ball hold up better? That's going to be the key, because the Eagles, I'm sorry, I look at their linebackers and I look at the safeties that, with those guys being hurt. And the middle of the field scares me in the passing game, especially against tight ends. So that's where Kirk Cousins is going to go and attack the Eagles. That's what he's going to do. And as far as the Eagles go, the Vikings defensive line, they don't get all that much pressure. They don't blitz a whole lot. And I think the Eagles will be able to hold, to get their offense going again. So I look at this game. I think at the end of the day, it is a Thursday night game. The Eagles are favored. I believe the last I saw was 7.5, and it's at home opener. The Eagles know they didn't play well, and even though they have 4 starters out, I expect the Eagles to come out, and I expect the Eagles to rebound, and I think the Eagles will win this game. But I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Eagles win this game 31-24. I have the Eagles winning. I could see this thing being a little bit frustrating at times because Minnesota's moving the ball, but Kirk Cousins at the end of the day will be Kirk Cousins, and I think something will happen. He'll make a big mistake, and the Eagles will take over. I really can't wait to see Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter because I think those guys are the real deal, and I expect them to have a big game. It's going to be, in my opinion, the passing game that you're going to have to stop by the Minnesota Vikings. And if you can do that, you can slow it down, they've got no chance, okay? So it's going to be an interesting game, short week, 4 starters out. I see this as if you come out of this game with 4 starters out, you get a mini bye week to get healthy, and you're 2-0, we're in good shape going forward. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's how we vision, baby. We're all just living in it. I find it really funny that Mark Holmes all season, nobody bother me, don't bother me. He's on the verge of losing it, okay? And he still might. But because the Cowboys get a little lucky the first 2 weeks of the season, he's feeling really good about everything. So what does he do? He runs and he makes a video putting my name in it. He can't help himself. He can't. He better hope. He better pray that the Jets don't beat them. He better pray, because if somehow, some way, and I don't know how, but if it happens, I am going to kill him all week. I am going to crush him all week, okay? Cowboys play the Giants stink. Then they get the Jets with no Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, you got some breaks early in the year. Good for you. But now you're sitting there talking about the Eagles dropped 2 spots in a ranking. Who cares? It's week 1. Talk to me about the rankings, week 10, week 11, week 12. It's September. This is the Cowboys' best month of the year, September. Then they're a little, then they're good in October. Then in November, they're okay. And then in December, it's Cowboys choke season. I don't expect anything different to happen this year. Denzel Washington out.